So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and another of my semi-regular painting, gaming and collecting updates. Let's take a look at what I've been up to. So my kind of painting frenzy seems to have continued apace, and I'm not really sure what to account for that. I just seem to have really enjoyed getting the brush out and getting some painting done, and as a result continue to crack through figures and a fairly wide variety of things. I mean, again, a bit more sort of on the Second World War-y, Konflikt 47 just recently, some of which I can show you, some of which I can't because I might be getting a little ahead of myself on the OPC challenge that the Plastic Crack podcast community is running. I might be sort of several months ahead in terms of what I should have done. But anyway, so I'm storing them up because I want to show them when the time's right. But also enjoying continuing along the Gallic Wars and what have you. So got some plans for that later in the year, which with Martin and some of the other guys in the community, probably for CrackCon, which I'm looking forward to immensely. So anyway, let's have a look at the painting, and we'll talk about some of the purchases and other things in a short while. So first up on the spinny table is a bit of Weird World. So this is a Jackal mechanoid troop for the US Army Konflikt 47 bolt action spin-off that I'm building an army for as part of the Plastic Crack podcast's community challenge to build an army over the course of a year. So I've done the core units, and this is supposed to be, well, the month challenge for March was champions. So I kind of thought this sort of fitted the bill. A sort of mechanoid man in a suit with 50 cals and various other things. Just great fun to do. You know, I've really enjoyed doing different things this year so far, and these sort of things are just machines that I just wouldn't really get around to painting, and have just been great fun to do. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So this dude's done. Base coat was just a green, and then just various washes and dry brushes over the top, just to sort of get that worn, weathered look that I was looking for, and I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. So another one for the Konflikt 47 Americans. And so this one, this is Big Brother. So this is a, what is this one called? There we go. M8 Grizzly Medium Assault Walker. I mean, just awesome. Another massive piece of resin. Great fun to paint up. I kind of wish I'd done it the darker. I mean, the plan was with this US Army was to sort of have a mixture of different greens. And actually, as I've gone along, I've really enjoyed the much darker green than this lighter one. But hey, it just adds a bit of variety, and I think that, you know, they'll look pretty good together. I mean, look at the size difference of those two. Yeah, so this is a one-man thing. This is I think it's only one man still in there, but altogether bigger piece of equipment. Only fiddly bit was this sort of base tail here that was just really awkward to get to stick because it's metal. Metal on resin is quite tricky to fit in my book. Even with sort of judicious use of super glue and applicator or activator. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it came out. Just kind of amuses me no end to do these sort of things. Just something completely different. So there you go, that's him. And then with an eye to having an opponent to fight Konflikt 47, and also with the upcoming Achtung Panther or Panzer game from Warlords, I thought I'd look back through some of the kits that I had sitting in the stash of opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed putting these things together. So this is a Panzer IV. I think it's a Panzer IV-G, I think it is. I forget which model I made in the end. Just the standard Warlord plastic one. You know, I ain't no modeler, as we've established on many occasions. In fact, This one, you'll see that there's supposed to be a couple of antennas, and I managed to snap them off before I'd even painted it. So, yeah, it is what it is. I put some extra bits of sort of stowage stuff on the back. I took a leaf out of On Point HQ's book and bought some of those from eBay. 3D printed stowage packs and what have you to just go on. So, just to make a bit of variety. Now, I had a Dunkelgelb undercoat, Army Painter one, but midway through using it, I ran out. So I tried to improvise with another sort of yellowy, sandy colour, and it's come out a little bit paler than I would actually have liked. But I wasn't going to strip it down again, so I've just gone with it. But I'm quite pleased how it came out, and yeah, as I say, it'll be useful for a Konflikt 47 and also for Achtung Panther, whenever that comes out. Then continuing with the armoured vehicles, or yeah, not really armoured in this case. This is an Opel Blitz truck, again another one of the Warlord's plastic kits with the crew in the back. It's a really nice kit. It comes in two versions, multiple versions actually. You can have a covered one, or you can have it with the half-track tracks, and you can have the crew in various forms. So I've done the crew, and they're just sort of free-sitting, so you can just take them out when they're debussing, which I kind of like the idea of. It's just a really nice little kit. And pretty easy to put together, even for fat thumbs like me. A bit of weathering, a bit of mud, and Bob's your auntie. The only difficulty I had was, well, not difficulty. I planned to. They give you a sort of acetate sheets for the windscreen and the driver's window and passenger window doors, and I really intended to put them in, but when I'd assembled the model, and by the time you've sort of got the driver in and got it all sort of base coloured and what have you, it's almost impossible. I found it almost impossible to put the windshield in or windscreen in, so I just gave up in the end. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, quite pleased with that. And while I was hunting through all my American and German kits for this project, I came across this Italian medium tank. It's an M1341, I think it is, the early medium tank, which, because I have painted up some Italians for bolt action, and I could also use them for Konflikt 47. So while I was there, I thought I'd paint it up. It was actually, I think it's a... Oh, crikey. It's all resin. I remember that. I think the tracks are resin as well. And just the turret was... oh, that's resin too. There you go. So just a couple of the hatches and the gun barrels, I think, were metal. For a change, I did the crew out, or the driver out, or commander out, actually. And set this on a base with sort of sandy mud, because I would imagine these are going to be primarily used in sort of desert scenario, but it was fun to do, and a heck of a lot easier than the kit version of the Italian medium tanks. Just this resin was so much easier to do. So there you go, bit more yeah, well, sort of almost conventional with a bit of weirdness on the side. Second World War. Oh, not quite finished with the Weird World. These are German basically the Werewolf men, because of course you're going to have something like that in Konflikt 47. They are Warlord resin models, I want to say. Oh, I forget now. Let me just pick one up. No, the metal. I picked them up on eBay. Someone was selling them off cheap, so I picked them up, and I actually quite pleased I did, because they were fun to do. Really nice detail on the models. Just ideal for sort of contrast paints and washes, and then a bit of dry brushing just to bring out the colours, and then Something I don't do very often. I've done it with a couple of figures in this month's or this week's painting, but putting a bit of blood and gore on them. So because it's inappropriate, these guys have obviously busy ripping things apart. I've sort of had blood stains on their chests and down their trousers and what have you. So really quite pleased with how these came out. I think they're super. Really good. So maybe something a little bit more sensible. This is some Gallic Fanatics. These are plastic Victrix models. You saw, if you follow the channel, that I bought a whole series of Victrix figures and for the Gallic period, and I've been working my way through them slowly but surely, and then also rebasing a whole lot of older figures that I had. So I've now got quite a decent collection of Gallics. These were great fun to do, actually, and I'm not honestly a massive fan of assembling Victrix, but they do come out well, and the sculpting of the muscles and what have you, don't mention willies, of these Fanatics is awesome, and I really enjoyed because it just takes the washes and the dry brushes and what have you so nicely. So yeah, really pleased with how they came out. Yeah, whether they existed or not is open to some debate, but they're in the rules and I may well use them. The woad maybe is a bit bright, but who cares? My figures, I'll do it my way. I used a Sharpie pen basically to draw that on in sort of random patterns and what have you, just how I thought might be appropriate for the woad and the wall paint that they would have worn. Probably completely inaccurate, but as I say, there's some question whether they even existed, these guys. So anyway, that's them done. I'm quite pleased with how they came out, so they'll be a focal point for my Gallic army when it next sees the table, and hopefully not too long. So next up, some druid type characters for my Gallic force. Now these are Crusader metals. They were selling off North Star was selling off a few packs of things, including some Gallics. I picked them up. I'll show some more in a minute. I just thought this would be fun because I know there's within the Caesar's Gallic War supplement for Hail Caesar, there's a rule about having a druid leader with your forces, so I thought it'd be fun to do. So again, I don't tend to do much gore on figures because I don't really like it, but it seemed entirely appropriate for these because the one guy's carrying a severed head, and the girl, odd-looking woman that she is what appears, I imagine, is a heart in her hand. So it seemed right to have blood everywhere, and then the mad guy with his choppers in the front. I thought, well, he's going to be involved in whatever happened. So I imagine the guy at the back with his standard, holding onto the standard, which is appears to be a Roman helmet on a stick, is sort of thinking, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into today? But there you go. So kind of nice. They're a bit cartoony, but fun nonetheless, and will be an interesting command pack for my Gallic forces. So there you go. So I've also been working on some terrain features. So these are 15mm that actually were 3D prints that Martin, Seventh Son, printed for me. I bought them from a company I think they're in Norway, that Alex Storm of Steel recommended. They're really for Normandy, but I wanted some that were more sort of nondescript that I could use as sort of farmyards, fortified positions and what have you for various 15mm figures. And I've tried to sort of combine the ones that look most period neutral, shall we say. So I think this one you could quite easily use medievals, Napoleonics, Second World War, etc., and would work pretty well. So all I've done is mount them on thick art card, use some of the walls. I know Martin had some fun and games with the walls, they just didn't print properly. but it doesn't matter because I buried them in Vallejo mud and sort of stuck them all down, so the roofs will come off. Yeah, roofs will come off. There you go. So you can, if necessary, occupy the buildings. But more often than not, as I say, particularly with black powder games, we tend to use, say this is just a built-up area, so it can contain a battalion, 2 battalions, whatever we decide it's going to be. So that's one farmyard, and this is the second farmyard. Again, same sort of buildings. Yeah, I think visually they're pretty good. They come out, they look quite nice. I didn't do a whole lot with these. I spray coated or primed the buildings with it was a sort of khaki sandy colour off yellow colour, and then all I did was use one of the, I think it's called Dirty Grime or something. It's an AK interactive wash, and I just literally blobbed it all over, and I like the effect. It's sort of given a bit of the texture that's there in the models come through, and then I just picked out obviously the woodwork and the concrete around the doors and what have you separately, and then just a very gentle dry brush with sand. No, actually no, I didn't. I did with deck tan, I think. Doesn't matter, anything sort of off-whitey, just to give that a little bit of I guess depth to the colour. And then again I've used Vallejo mud just to sort of plaster around, because this is a sort of idea. This is a farmyard that, as I say, could fairly period neutral, I think, for large parts of anything up to the Second World War and beyond, really. So yeah, another one done. And then this one is a more sort of formal house. So instead of the mud and everything, I just used basic materials, stuck that down. Again, just intending to use these as either strongholds in their own right, or if you're playing a 15 or even 20 mil game, they could be defensible positions for squads and what have you. Again, roofs are capable of coming off. They're nice enough models. I mean, this one is a bit more obviously 20th century because it's got a drain pipe coming down, but I'm sure I still use them in a Napoleonic game if I so wished. Another drain pipe on that building there. But yeah, pretty pleased with how these have come out. And thanks to Martin for printing them. I know they were a bit of a biatch. I've got a couple more to do, but they're more town-like buildings, which weren't quite what I wanted for this project. So I will do them because they'll be useful. But I actually would like some more of the sort of Barney type ones. I think they would be very useful indeed. There you go. And then also some more Gallic Warriors have been done. So these are a real mixed bag. There's Warlords, Victrix, and also Crusader metals in these bases. Mostly armoured guys, so these will be part of the noble troops. Yeah, not much more to say about them really. Just blitz them all together. Bit of bright colours, bit of stripes and whatnot on them. Shield transfers, I hate doing shield transfers, but they are yeah, essential, because I just can't draw the shields nicely enough. So even though I struggle and I swear and I curse, particularly the Crusader figures, to fit the shields on those, the transfers on them, because I didn't have actual Crusader ones, so I was sort of trimming existing ones down to make them viable. But hey, they're going to be lost in the massive Gallic Warriors when they see the table, so all good. But yeah, another load finished. I'm quite happy with them. So finally, this is a metal figure. I think it's supposed to be Herald Hardrada. It's a limited edition, I believe, figure from North Star Miniatures. When I was ordering the Crusaders stuff and some other bits and bobs, I saw that they were selling this one off, and it doesn't, because it is limited edition, it's not always on for sale, so I thought I'd pick it up. Not sure how I'm going to use it. I might just use it just as a little sort of figurehead in one of my armies, but I don't know. But I painted them up fairly standard. Quite pleased how they came out. Not spectacularly done, but good enough for me. Not going to win any awards, but I did freehand the shield. Now I think it's supposed to be a raven. I looked up Harold Hardrada's sort of flags, and it showed this sort of raven flying. I think it looks a bit more like a penguin flying than a raven. But hey, I'm not too unhappy with that. It came out reasonably well, or just a big fat pigeon. I don't know, whatever it is. But anyway, he's done. He's come out all right. So I did warn you, quite a lot has been done in the last week or so. So yeah, I don't know why. I just seem to have been in a right frenzy to paint. Even sort of to the point of sort of when the wife goes to bed, usually I paint for about half an hour more and then watch a bit of trash telly and go to bed. But I've been sort of staying up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning just to get a model finished, and then wanting to do a bit more in the morning. So it's just bizarre. Very unlike me, because as you know, I'm not really a painter. I'm a collector and a gamer is really what I love. But hey, it is what it is. The benefit is I'm cracking through figures, which is good. God knows I've got enough to paint through. Anyway, purchase wise, what I've been up to. So one of the Plastic Crack community stalwarts, Aled, suggested, well, we were discussing through some of the chats about spray paints. As I've mentioned many times, I like using Halford's Car Supplies primer paint, the grey and some of their sort of what they call camouflage colours. I don't know why you can camouflage for a car, but anyway, are really excellent, and the coverage is great. They used to be quite affordable, and I've never had a fail. Well, actually that's true. I had one can that failed, and I took it back, and they swapped it without any argument. So I really, like them. But the problem is I found they're increasing the prices, getting up and up and up to the point where they're no longer even competitive with model paints, which is really frustrating, because now I'm having to sort of go hunting for new sprays, and appreciate with all the figures I paint, I go through quite a lot of priming spray. So anyway, Aled on the community suggested Vallejo spray paints, which you can buy from Italy. And these things are actually pretty reasonable. I think work out about £8 or £9 a can for what is this, 500 mils? I can't find this. Oh, 400 mil. And they do them in quite a wide variety of colours. I bought grey and I bought white to start out with, just to see what they're like. I've used the grey already, and I quite like it, actually. It seems to give pretty good coverage. It's a lighter grey than the Halford's grey. So it's almost like a off-white, which I quite like. So yeah, quite impressed with that. Haven't tried the white yet. Got a couple of those to try, but I don't use white very often, but I thought I'd get a couple because I'm down to my last can of Halford's white. The matte varnish, not so keen about. It's a bit like I had another cheap varnish, which I wasn't convinced by. This does the same thing. It kind of really pulls to a large degree, so it's quite a thick varnish that comes out. So I'm not so impressed with this one. I probably won't use it on my figures. What I have been using on is, you saw the buildings, so I used it on those. And once it dries, it seems fine. I just don't quite trust it yet on figures. Maybe I'll have a go again, but when you've spent a lot of time, well, a reasonable amount of time painting figures, the last thing you really want to do is hash it up with some spray varnish. So I don't know, we'll see. I may try it out on figures, but I have to say on the buildings it's come out all right, but when you spray it on, it seems very thick. It seems to dry away reasonably well, so I don't know, maybe I will go back to it. But thanks for the recommendation, Aled. I think they're not bad at all. I mean, £8-9 a pop, even with the shipping. And these came incredibly quickly. Really, really quickly. Italy or Spain? Yeah, Italy, Milan. There you go. So that's that. Otherwise, well, you saw some of the Crusader metals, Gallic Warrior stuff. So recommendation for you guys, if you're not already involved or already doing it, check out North Star and sign up for follow their Facebook page and also their newsletter, because periodically they do discounts and clearances and what have you, figures and rules and various other things. The Crusader Gallic Warriors and also Gripping Beast Gallic Warriors that I got from them just recently were all on discount. So I just thought, well, it's worth picking up a few just to sort of intersperse within the existing backs, just to get a bit of variety. Now that they are a little bit smaller, as you probably saw, than certainly in the Victrix. But I don't mind that so much. People come in different sizes, right? So I'd certainly recommend keeping an eye out on North Star's discount and clearance options. So yeah, I bought some Gallic Warriors, I bought some Gallic Cavalry, just a couple of packs of each, some Gallic Mounted Generals, or Officers, or Command Base, I think it's called. And what else did I buy? Oh, you saw the Priests and the Druids base, that was one of their packs. And what was the other thing I bought from them? I forget. Anyway, oh yeah, and also they were selling some Gripping Beast, I just mentioned it. So again, Gallic-y type troops. So I just picked up some of I've forgotten how much I hate Gripping Beast metals. Oh, the moulding's fine, the sculpting's fine. It's just the hands and the weapons. Just every time I think, why did I buy Gripping Beast metals? Just trying to get their spears to be held by the hands is just... Anyway, so I think actually in most cases I swapped them out and used some plastic swords that I already had and just used them instead because they stick better. The hand just doesn't... It's not moulded to wrap around a spear. And so, yeah, anyway, just frustration. Also, I picked up some of the new Japanese Boxer Rebellion. These are Japanese Cavalry, Japanese Generals. I think I've got another one somewhere, Japanese Cavalry Command, which I'm going to use for my Boxer Rebellion, although Paul down at the club is not helping my problems with inability to stop purchasing things by suggesting that maybe we should try Russian Civil War and maybe the Russo-Japanese War as a period. So anyway, the good thing is the Japanese that I've got, and I've already got a whole load of Empress and also Crusader Japanese that I bought for the Boxer project. And I'm going to probably, I'm away for a little while, but I might, when I come back, I might well start on those and start to paint them up just to get them ready. And if they happen to wander into a Japo-Russian war, then what can a man do, hey? So that's that. I think that was all on the purchase front. I mentioned last time about the Warbase's paint tray that I purchased. I bought 3 of them for allow you to stack paints in. I really like them, really pleased with them. The problem is they only really work for the flip top bottles. They're too big a hole, and also when you stack them, if you put a Vallejo bottle in, not only does it wobble around, but it's too high, so when you stack the one above on top, it sort of rides up because of that, so it's really no good. So I did contact Diana at Warbases, and they're brilliant. The service there from the guys is phenomenal. And I just said, do you have anything similar? And sadly the answer was no, they didn't. Now maybe I could try and get them to make something, but I don't know, I might just look. Salute's coming up, I might see what else is available. I could possibly adapt one of those ones and see whether I can drop the height a bit. But I'm an incompetent woodworker as well as painter and modeler, so probably not going to happen. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Gaming wise, yeah, after a couple of weeks of not such great games, as I've mentioned before, won't go back over that. We cracked on to a really fun game of Black Powder Napoleonics down the club the other night. Jonathan and I We went to we used the campaign pack that Tim at Napoleonic Wargaming Channel has issued for his event in June up at Boards and Swords, which is basically a fun weekend of historically Napoleonic battles. 600 points. Sorry, Martin, it's points. But it doesn't matter. It's not really about the emphasis of the game. Is not on the win. It's just on having a game, and 4 games over the course of the weekend. So there's 4 different scenarios. Jono and I just thought we'd have a go. He bought French. I bought my Swedes. And we played, I think it's called meeting engagement, where basically the 2 sides come on at each ends of the 6 foot by 4 foot table and move across the table, and it's a straight fight. You have to put your army in order of march, and they come on in column of march, and there's like a turn delay before they arrive, and it was great fun. I mean, the scenario's designed for 28mm. We were playing 15mm. Don't know why. We had all the space in the world. We got the figures. It's not that unmanageable. But for some reason, we decided to do 15mm. So, of course, all the distances, because we were playing in centimetres rather than inches. So, consequently, it took about 4 or 5 turns before we even got into shooting range, which, bear in mind, the scenario was supposed to be 5 to 7 turns. Meant we scrapped that, but we actually had a really good game. It was I won't give it away. I've recorded the game. It's going to go live on Friday. I'll put the link here, depending on when I post this video. So you'll see it there if you're interested. Really fun game. Won't spoil it for anybody, but let's just say blunders and cavalry played quite a large part in the game, and we really enjoyed it. And actually, we really enjoyed the modifications that Tim's put in place for the weekend. For instance, usually interpenetration is allowed, snigger, but he has disallowed it, so you can't interpenetrate anything. Also, if your forces are forced to fall back through because of combat, morale check, whatever it may be, it disorders them and the guys behind them. Now, maybe because we were playing 15mm, we had several lines of troops, so when things fell back, invariably disordered the ones behind, which caused a few problems, because then you're thinking, well, either the enemy could charge you while you're disordered, or you just couldn't move because disordered troops in black powder can't take an order. So so that was interesting. The other one, which we definitely will adopt moving forward, is that charges can only happen when you start the turn and can see the opponent you're going to charge. All too often we've had games where cavalry have started here and the enemy are sort of round behind a building or something, and the cavalry move 1 move up, 2 moves to the side, and then 3rd charged in because they can see the enemy. So under this book, you have to see the opponent before you can charge, which I quite liked as well. And there's a couple of other little modifications which were fun. We didn't play with the booster option, so I showed some time ago the sword sharpener diorama thing, which is for that weekend. There's various other options you can take to give your armies just a smidge of a boost. But it tremendous fun. We really enjoyed it. We were going to play another game this Friday, but as it turns out, we're in the small room at the club. Every couple of weeks we have to go into a small room in the roof of the building we meet in, because the hall is used for a dementia society. So we move upstairs out the way, and as a result, space is a little bit tighter. Also a little bit noisier, so I don't know whether I'll record it or not, but I'll take the camera and we'll see. But we're going to play Indian Mutiny again with Tony and Paul, because we can play that 4 of us on a 6x4 table, which doesn't take up too much space. I'll take along my my new Indian Mutiny figures, and we'll see where we go with that. But looking forward to that. And then, as I mentioned, I'm away for a week, so no gaming for me at all this time. Won't even take any modelling. Might just take some books to read. So and then I'll be back. So that's it. I think it's been a good, really productive week or so. Really enjoyed the gaming and the painting as well. Don't know what is going on with me at the moment. Must be all this weird shit that I'm working my way through. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Really appreciate it. Costs you nothing. Just helps me with the algorithm gods getting more eyes in front of, or more videos in front of different eyes across YouTube. So appreciate that if you could. Anyway, as I say, enjoy yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.